Dear students, I hope you are all well and studying in your home. Last week we already discussed about the weather, in which we just concluded the definition of weather is that the day-to-day conditions of the atmosphere at a place with respect to the temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind speed, etc. is called the weather at that place, in which we know about the humidity and rainfall and different instrument uses for the calculation of these humidity and rainfall. Today we will discuss about the next term, that is climate. So meteorologists record the weather every day. The records of the weather have been preserved for the past several decades. These help us determine the weather pattern at a place. The average weather patterns taken over a long time, say 25 years, is called the climate of the place. So, meteorologists are make reports by collecting the information or reports of weather date in basis of day-to-day conditions. And if the data was collected over past 25 years, this weather pattern is called the climate of the place. If you find that the atmosphere at a place is high most of the time, then we say that the climate of the place is hot. If there is also heavy rainfall on most of the days in the same place, then we say that the climate of the place is hot and wet. Okay, so if any place, suppose you are living in a place where the climate condition or weather condition is very hot, okay, in last 25 years, then the place is known as the hot climate. And if there rainfall also occurring, okay, mainly you read about the different type of forest. In tropical forest, rainfall also occur. Okay, so the climate of that place is hot and wet. Okay, in table 7.2 and 7.3, we have given the climate conditions at two places in India. The mean temperature for a given month is found in two steps. First, we find the average of the temperatures recorded during the month. Second, we calculate the average of such average temperatures over many years. That gives the mean temperature. The two places are Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir and Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala. So, in table you have an example of two places comparing their daily weather report of the month, and by average we just calculate the temperature and mean total rainfall. Okay, so you can see in these tables and you easily compare. Okay, so in table 7.2, Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, in the month January. Okay, we just go through first one example of 1 month, then you can see in other months also. So, mean temperature in degree centigrade daily minimum is minus 2.3 and daily maximum is 4.7 on the month of January, and there is mean total rainfall is 57 millimeter. And if we compare with Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, month January, their mean temperature degree centigrade is daily minimum 22.2 and maximum is 31.5, and rainfall is 23 millimeter. So if you compare all other months, then you can easily find that is a many difference in the temperatures of Srinagar and Kerala. So the number of for the mean total rainfall have been rounded off. Okay, these are the rounded off figures. So by looking at table 7.2 and 7.3, we can easily see the difference in the climate of Jammu and Kashmir and Kerala. We can see that Kerala is very hot and wet in comparison to Jammu and Kashmir, which has a moderately hot and wet climate for a part of the year. Okay, so in Kerala is hot and wet climate conditions are found, whereas in Jammu and Kashmir, hot and wet climate. Similar data for the western region of India, for example Rajasthan, will show that the temperature is high during most part of the year. Okay, but during winter, which lasts only for a few months, the temperature is quite low. This region receives very little rainfall. Okay, if we talk about the Rajasthan, this is the typical desert climate. It is hot and dry. Okay, so if someone asks you about the climatic conditions of Rajasthan, you can say it is hot and dry. The northeasterns receive rain for a major part of the year. Therefore, we can say that the climate of the northeast is wet. Okay, so if we go to the northwest, that is in Arunachal Pradesh or Sikkim, there was very much rainfall occurs. So their climate condition is northeast is wet. Now we see that climate and adaptation. Okay, how organisms are adapted to different climate conditions. Climate has a profound effect on all living organisms. Animals are adapted to survive in the conditions in which they live. Animals living in a very cold and hot climate must possess special features to protect themselves against the extreme cold or heat. Recall from the chapter 9 of your class 6 book definition of adaptation. Okay, when you read about this chapter, then you will be uh, learn that or know the definition of adaptation or why, which means that features and habitats that help animals to adapt to their surroundings are a result of the processes of evolution. So there are different, we just read about the animals adaptation in this chapter. Okay, so we read about the climatic conditions in polar regions and tropical rainforest and how the animals will be adapted for that. As the name suggests, the polar regions are situated near the poles, that is north and south pole. Okay, you can easily understand the north and south pole if you see in a globe. And some well-known countries that belongs to the polar regions are Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Alaska in USA, and Siberian region of Russia. Example of some countries where the tropical rainforests are found: India, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Republic of Congo, Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria. So take an outline map of the world, mark the polar regions in blue, similarly mark the tropical regions in red. Okay, when you if you have a map of world, you can easily find that. So first we talk about the polar regions. The polar regions present an extreme climate. These regions are covered with snow and it is very cold for the most part of the year. For 6 months, the sun does not set at the poles, while for the other 6 months, the sun does not rise. In winters, the temperature can be as low as minus 37 degrees centigrade. Animals living there have adapted to these severe conditions. Okay, humans cannot exist in this environment. Let us see how they are adapted by considering the examples of polar bears and penguins. So we have two examples in your chapter that how animals of that area are adapted to and their climatic condition. Polar bears have white fur so that they are not easily visible in the snowy white background. It protects them from predators and it is also help them in collecting or catching their prey. To protect them from extreme cold, they have two thick layer of fur. Okay, they have they also have a layer of fat under their skin, which is known as blubber. In fact, they are so well insulated that they have to move slowly and rest often to avoid getting overheated. Physical activities or warm days necessitates cooling, so the polar bear goes for swimming. It is a good swimmer. Its paws are wide and large, which help it not only to swim well but also walk with ease in the snow. So these paws are wide and large, and it helps them to swim well and also walk with very easily in the snow. While swimming underwater, it can close nostril and can remain underwater for long durations. It has a strong sense of smell so that it can catch its prey for food. We can understand the adaptation of polar bear with the help of flowcharts on in the figure 7.3. So you can see this chart of your from your book, and the white fur is not easily visible in the snowy white background. Okay, these white furs, and they functions as the predators and prey are unable to see it because of this white fur and white background of snow, and it has a very strong sense of smell. Okay, and it helps the bear to locate and catch the prey. So there are other all conditions which we already read, and you can understand these terms by this figure only. Adaptation of polar bear. Like similar, penguins also are example of polar regions animals, and it is also white and merges well with white background. It also has a thick skin and a lot of fat protect in the form of cold. So if you see any in television channels also, okay, they usually get along with huddled together. Okay, why they are doing so? Because this they to keep warm. Okay, recall how warm you feel when you are in a hall full of people. Okay, so you can see these penguins are always found to be in huddles. Like polar bears, penguins are also good swimmers. Their bodies are streamlined and their feet have webs, making them good swimmers. You can see feet of penguins. Okay, so whenever this streamlined body is occur, it means these organisms are well in swimming. Okay, as in fish. While fish can remain under cold water for long, birds must remain warm to survive. Okay, so what birds do? They migrate to warmer regions, and when winter sets in, they come back after the winter is over. Okay, so this process is known as migration. You know probably that in India, one of the destinations of many of these birds. You must have seen or heard about the Siberian crane that comes from Siberia to places like Bharatpur in Rajasthan and Sultanpur in Haryana. Okay, so Siberian crane is an example of migrating bird. So there is an interesting note about the migratory birds which travels 15,000 kilometers to escape the extreme climate conditions at home. Generally, they fly high where the wind flow is helpful and the cold conditions allow them to disperse the heat generated by their flight muscles. But how these birds travel to the same place year after a year is still a mystery. Okay, it seems that these birds have a built in sense of direction and know in which direction to travel. Some birds probably use landmarks to guide them. Many birds may be guided by the sun during the day and stars at night. There is some evidence that birds may use the magnetic field of the earth to find direction. And it is not only birds that migrate. Mammals, many types of fish and insects are also known to migrate seasonally in search of more hospitable climates. Okay, and mainly they bird fishes or insects are migrating in search of food. So till now we just read about the polar regions animals which adapted to their life and some birds and fishes. Now we talk about, okay, this is the migratory bird in their habitat. So you can see the examples, and in next week we just start the tropical rain forest. So before reading you just go through it and try to understand whatever given on your chapter. So we will meet in the next class. Thank you.